Morning everyone, this is Jeff from Rust Bucket Valley Garage. Today we're going to talk about troubleshooting. When you have a problem with your engine where your power is down and you have a noticeable miss and you also have coolant loss, you have something major going on. So those things connected together could be a cylinder head problem, could be a head gasket problem, could be a block problem, and be a blown head gasket or cracking the head or cracking the block. Especially in the small S10 engines, they like to blow head gaskets, they like to crack blocks, so very bad situation. The first thing you'd like to do is check out for coolant leaks to see if it's just something, very easy to fix. What's really nice is that the local auto parts stores have various tools that you can rent, and this is one of them. This is a Stant pressure checker for cooling systems. What you do is you take this and you put it onto the top of your radiator, and you go ahead and pump the gauge up to about 13 pounds or so, and then you see if the pressure holds. Okay, if the pressure does not hold, you have a cooling leak someplace. Okay, since the system will be pressurized, it's real easy to find because you'll see water dripping out of it. If you do not see a decrease in the pressure, it might very well be a high pressure leak, which will be a connection between the combustion chamber and the cooling passages. Okay, so this one will help you find the low pressure leaks. Probably, if you do not find anything at that point, you can take and turn the engine on and look in the radiator, see if there's a constant stream of bubbles. You can look in the cooling reservoir, look in here and see if the fluid is low, and also there will be sometimes a stream of bubbles in there as well if your head gasket is really bad. The next thing you would want to check is the engine compression. There's a nice kit here that comes from a local auto parts store. Okay, here's a compression gauge and the adapter hose. That all goes together, and you can take and rent this from them, very reasonable price. So you'll take and remove all the spark plugs, and you'll screw the tool into the spark plug holes. You'll crank the engine over, and you will get a reading of cylinder compression. The cylinder compression should be even across all of the cylinders within a few pounds. If it is not even within a few pounds of each cylinder, it could be a burnt valve, which is where a piece of debris gets between the valve seat and the valve face, and it actually makes a hole there. And when your piston comes up on the compression stroke, it allows some of the compression to escape the cylinder. Generally, the ones I've seen, across your engine, you'll have anywhere from 110, 115, 120 pounds per square inch on this meter. And if you have anything lower on one particular cylinder, then that is a cylinder you should be paying attention to. Now, the reading that you just took is called a dry measurement. If you want to take and check the piston rings and their sealing effect, you can take and do a wet reading where you go through the same procedure and you put the compression gauge on there. However, before you do that, you put a couple of squirts of oil in each cylinder that will seal the piston rings up. Then you will get a wet measurement. That's a good way to take and check the health of your engine as per the piston and the compression rings and the oil seal rings. Okay, if you want to take and go further in your testing, there is one more test that you can go, and that would be this test right here, where If your head gasket was bad enough, or you have a large enough crack in your cylinder head or your block, this one will find it. What you do is, there is a block check test fluid. This is a block check kit with the fluid in here is blue. You go ahead and fill that up into the tester. Go to the fluid level line on here. You take this, you put it with the radiator cap removed and the engine running. You put this in here. There is a squeeze bulb that you use that goes in the hole in the top of this, and you extract some of the vapors from the radiator through this fluid. If the fluid turns yellow, your compression leak is bad enough so that the vapors from the engine are being going through the radiator. So if you get to that point where you have a positive indication where the block check test fluid turns from blue to yellow, that is a major leak. That is engine disassembly right there. That is either head problem, head gasket problem, or block problem. Hopefully your engine isn't making any unusual knocking sounds, which would indicate possibly a bearing going. I always like to find out when I get a bad indication and I have to take and do a repair. Why is that? What happened? You know, get to the root cause of what's going on. So I have an engine in the back shop that has exactly this problem, where this vehicle here was exhibiting a compression leak, where the block check proves positive through the radiator. Combustion gases were connected to the cooling passage. So we'll go ahead and we'll take that engine apart and we will find out exactly what happened. That is not necessarily an engine replacement. It is an engine repair. However, the engine had 225,000 miles on it, and this was just like the last straw. So let's go around to the back area and go take the cylinder head off that engine and find out what happened. Be back with you in a second. All right, we have an engine here. It is a 2002 Chevy S10 2.2 liter engine, and we removed it from the vehicle out in front, and it had low compression on cylinder number 1, and it also had a coolant leak between the combustion chamber and also the water jacket. So it's got to be either a head crack, a cylinder head gasket malfunction, or a crack in the block. Okay, could be any, could be all. So let's get a 10 millimeter out and take the valve cover off. So on this particular engine, we have the valve cover off right now, and to get the head bolts off, you have to take and pull the rockers off. So let's get a 10 millimeter and let's pull the rockers off. Okay, so we have all the rockers that are off. We have the last one right here. Got to take out the push rods too. All the push rods look good. This is a little bit grimy. So next thing to do is take out the 10 bolts for the cylinder head. So let's get on that. Okay, you require a 15 millimeter and an impact wrench to do that. So all the cylinder head bolts have been removed, and let's go ahead and take the cylinder head off and see what we find. So we removed the cylinder head off of the cylinder block. Everything looks okay except this area right here, which there looks like a little bit of corrosion between the water jacket and the combustion chamber, and that'll be on cylinder number 4. And we come over here and we look, this area here looks really bad. Okay, you have a discoloration here, and that looks like a good candidate for a leak right there. So let's go ahead and pull the head gasket off of here and see if there's anything that reveals itself on the other side. So the top of the cylinder head gasket looks like it's in pretty good shape, except there's a little area here in cylinder number 4 that looks a little bit bad. However, if you take and look at the other side, this area here looks really bad, and that kind of confirms our suspicion that there was a direct path between the cooling passage, which is right here, and the combustion chamber, which is right here. So that's where your failure was. It was on cylinder number 4. So basically, to sum it up, we had a malfunction in the head gasket, which allowed a connection between cylinder number 4, this one right here, and the coolant passage, which is this one right here. Okay, so I looked at the cylinders. There's not really an appreciable ridge here. In all the cylinders, they seem smooth. There's no damage. The pistons like they're in good shape. A little bit carbonized. There's no damage on them. The cylinder head looks like it's in good shape. We can send this out, get it fly cut flat. We can have a valve grind taken put on it. None of the valves look like they're damaged. So we can totally take and rebuild this engine and keep it in stock. So it's really a problem on some of these engines that have aluminum cylinder heads that they like to get a crack in them. So the fact that the head gasket was gone, that is really, really good. So before the engine was taken out of the vehicle, there weren't any banging sounds or anything which would indicate any kind of bearing problem. So we can take and hot tank the block. We can cold tank the head, because you put aluminum head in the hot tank with the hot boiling lye, it will eat it. It will come out shot full of holes. Okay, so you use the cold tank for anything aluminum, carburetors, aluminum intake manifolds, aluminum cylinder heads. You use a hot tank for anything that's cast iron. So that's basically what we have today, and we found out that the root cause was failure of head gasket. So it's a big relief. Now we won't have to take and go get it another engine from Copart, which is not a sponsor though, by the way. But they got a lot of good stuff. Anyway, we'll see you next time.